Black Hills Energy responds to questions about their proposed power shutoff plan. The Rapid City Council approves the project for the next round of Vision Fund money. What comes next? And the weather heats up today, and so does a wildfire in grass and timber in West Rapid City. Your news starts now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Good afternoon, I'm Jack Cottle. Firefighters battle a wildfire this afternoon in West Rapid near Cedar Canyon Camp. Dozens of firefighters from state, Forest Service, and volunteer departments swarmed to the blaze after it began around 1:30. The fire started in a heavily forested area just east of the camp, and firefighters drove their trucks down pass on a Frisbee golf course to get closer. The wildfire's intensity visibly decreased through the first hour of its life. Great Plains Fire Information says forward progress of the fire has been stopped. Call it 25% contained and say it's burned 1.3 acres. Black Hills Energy is finalizing the details of its proposed power shutoff program to try to curb wildfires. KOTA Territory's Blake Trolley spoke with the head of the utility to get questions answered.
Yeah, we asked the utility questions just one day after community members had a meeting in Keystone to discuss generators. The utility is planning to roll out a program to shut off power as a last resort when there is a threat of serious and hard to control wildfire. We will begin with frequency of shutoffs. The company says it expects these shutoffs to be very rare. The utility's Vice President Wes Ashton says the company modeled data from the last 6 years to see when conditions would have triggered a shutdown.
And during that period, we never had a single calendar year that had more than 2 instances of this. Some calendar years had no instances of this. So we're not just talking a day with red flag warnings or, you know, as all of us who live in South Dakota know, it's often windy here. And so it's not just a day predicated on high wind or low humidity. It's got to be extreme conditions.
The company says historically the weather conditions that prompted shutdowns typically lasted several hours. Yesterday, concerns were raised in Keystone, including people who have oxygen generators that need power. There were food spoilage concerns and business effect concerns. Ashton says the company is hoping to give people up to a 2-day forewarning that shutoffs could occur. He says people with specific needs should have a plan and should update their customer information on their online profile.
So we know that they have specific needs, so we can partner with our emergency providers and make sure their needs are met.
Now, I did ask Ashton if the proposed program sparks conversation about the need to change infrastructure or do more vegetation clearance.
Over our 140 years serving in the Black Hills region, we have become very good and mature at taking care of our electric system, taking care of our customer base. We have programs in line with wildfire mitigation that include our vegetation management program, our pole and line inspections that are annual compliance-based reasons to stay ahead of a fire. These would be an extra step and another tool on top of those to make sure that in those most extreme conditions, we've got more protections in place.
Ashton says over the last 20 years, the number of wildfires has not grown, but the impact of those wildfires has. He says the company believes it is its responsibility to be proactive about wildfires. Back to you.
Well, temperatures soared this afternoon, but are we keeping the heat for the rest of the week? Meteorologist Ryan Laramie is in the First Alert Weather Center with more. I got to tell you what, the dogs were happy for a dip in the creek on the walk this morning.
I think you were happy for the dogs too. It was in the 90s today, Jack, but unfortunately the heat's not sticking around, and that's because we have thunderstorms popping up on First Alert Doppler radar here. Those isolated thunderstorms I was talking about yesterday, showing them popping up at the 5:30 hour, and we're starting to see those thunderstorms bubble up in the northern Black Hills just north of Belfouche. You're probably hearing those rumbles of thunder, seeing those strikes of lightning, and seeing some heavy rain, but we're also tracking some heavy thunderstorms just off to the west of Gillette and just off to the west of Pine Haven. Some thunderstorms also just south of Sheridan right now, so we're tracking these thunderstorms through the rest of the evening, and temperatures still hot in some places. We're 94 out in Phillip, 93 at the Rapid City Regional Airport, 88 in Hewlett and Newcastle, 91 still in downtown Rapid City, just like how Jack likes it. As we head throughout the rest of the forecast, clearing the smoke and haze out, but we have multiple storm chances and decreasing temperatures. I'll be discussing that in more detail all coming up.
Thank you, Ryan. South Dakota joined 26 other states in filing a lawsuit against 23andMe in an effort to block the sale of personal genetic data of people by the company. The news comes after a biotech company offered to buy the struggling 23andMe company. South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley says he chose to join the lawsuit after multiple South Dakotans called his office worried about their personal data being sold.
As part of the bankruptcy, they're attempting to sell and transfer all the genetic information of the consumers that they've served without getting consent. And that concerned 27 of us attorneys general. And so our request to the court is to simply only allow the transfer of that genetic information if the consumer consents.
Jackley's hope is the court will listen and block the transfer of the data. There's still no timeline as to when a decision will be made. The South Dakota and Wyoming Departments of Public Safety are warning against ongoing text scams targeting their residents. The text messages falsely claim that the recipients owe traffic ticket fines and will face legal consequences if they don't pay off the fines right away. According to the state of South Dakota, the messages aren't legitimate because they don't send traffic ticket notices through text messaging. In addition, 2 recent scams posed to the Wyoming Department of Transportation, seeking to trick people to click on a link that would take them to a fake DOT website. The senior public relations specialist for the Wyoming DOT says there are red flags people should look out for to prevent falling prey to a scam.
We don't use the term DMV, so that's a good warning sign. Another sign is, or something that people should keep in mind, is that there are no toll roads in Wyoming.
There are also no toll roads in South Dakota. It's recommended that people never click on attachments and links or respond to the suspicious messages. Anyone still unsure of what they can do, call their local clerk of court's office or Department of Transportation office to verify the legitimacy of their tickets. Monday night, the Rapid City Council voted in favor of funding 14 projects recommended for this cycle's Vision Fund. Our Adrian Carbajal spoke with the Vision Fund Committee Chair and the Mayor about the impact these projects will have on the city for years to come.
The Rapid City Vision Fund Citizen Committee allocated just north of $12 million for 14 projects as part of this cycle's Vision Fund, which was approved by the City Council Monday night. The largest allocation of funds were given to help with reconstruction of pond walls at Canyon Lake Park, which Mayor Jason Solomon says is a quality investment. Solomon also noted there was one area of funding he wishes he would have seen, but still stands by the Vision Fund Committee's decision.
I think what you heard is even though the sports complex didn't receive an allocation of funding, nor did the maintenance facility, you heard last night that it was still a big priority and made a big impression. It will help bring tournaments throughout this community throughout the year in this community. I think that'll be big for our economy as well as our quality of life for the folks that live here.
One allocation Solomon was pleased about was the more than $613,000 Rapid City received for phase 1 of the city's video system, which he believes will help deter crime.
Busy intersections, parks, public spaces, those sort of things that we can obviously hope to deter crime. If somebody commits a crime, you want to be able to identify them and find them.
Vision Fund Committee Chair John Kaiser echoed Solomon's sentiments, but noted the decision from the committee went beyond just public safety.
It's more than just kind of the surveillance for like crime. The traffic flow stuff was very important to us because we've all been there. The train hits or you're backed up to a light, all the construction in Rapid City that's taking place. And the growth that we've seen in the past 5 years is astronomical.
Both Solomon and Kaiser say they couldn't have asked for a better outcome and are excited to see the impact this funding will have on projects in the next couple of years. Reporting for KOTA Territory News, I'm Adrian Carbajal.
Deadwood is set to give visitors a taste of the lawless times of the 1800s with Wild Bill Days kicking off on Friday. The three-day event is a celebration of one of Deadwood's most famous gunslingers and lawmen, Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill Days will look a little different this year with new additions, including an art festival and vendor market happening on Main Street and a Father's Day hike which starts at the Deadwood Chamber of Commerce building. Visitors will find over 60 vendors on Main Street and get a taste of historical demonstrations, including arrow making and gold panning. In addition, the hike will allow people to experience the new White Rocks Trail.
And that takes you up in the hills near Mount Moriah Cemetery, and then it'll come over in the Presidential Neighborhood Trail, which takes you behind one of Deadwood's oldest neighborhoods. We'll come back up around the White Rocks area and go by Seth Bullock's grave, and then we'll take you back down to the Chamber of Commerce parking lot.
The Father's Day hike will include a 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. hike. Also new this year, the toddlers will be delighted to find a Wild West fun park and kids train. South Dakota Democrats have been hosting town halls around the state. When we come back, we'll take a look at what effect these meetings may have had. Throughout April, South Dakota community leaders have hosted town halls across the state, allowing people to raise concerns they have with the Trump administration. Now they are back with the next one coming up tomorrow evening. KOTA Territory's Grant Green has more on why these town halls were so popular.
The popularity of the town halls resulted in changes in venues and people having to stand at meetings as attendees. Panelists Nikki Gronley and Julian Bodawan delivered their 40-page report to South Dakota's congressional delegation, but only received feedback from Representative Dusty Johnson. But both shared optimism in the participation of political discourse throughout the state.
What we saw from the citizens who attended these town halls is that there's still a lot of fight left in them. Still a lot of fight left in us, and folks had no problem whatsoever, talking through some of the concerns.
Now Gronley is prioritizing town halls more focused to one issue. This starts tomorrow in Mitchell at Dakota Wesleyan University.
There's just a great farm community there. And so we decided we'd do this one focused as opposed to the last town halls, which we allowed people to cover whatever topic they wanted to. We thought we'd change it up and see what the response is like.
Gronley expects a lot of questions as to what the next farm bill will look like and when it will be passed. The current one has been extended twice and passed in 2018. She will have the help of another former USDA staffer to answer questions throughout the night.
I also expect having Marcia there on stage as the former risk management agency lead, that there'll be conversations about crop insurance, the importance to our ag producers, and what policy decisions are being made around crop insurance.
Dates haven't been announced yet, but town halls are planned for Brookings and Rapid City so far. In Sioux Falls, Grant Green, KOTA Territory News.
Meteorologist Ryan Larmew said there are more chances for storms in the forecast and some could be severe. He plans out the week ahead next in your accurate First Alert forecast.
Now, the First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ryan Larmew.
We've got an active radar this evening. First Alert topped the radar showing some thunderstorms firing off. Let's take a look at some of them a little closer. A thunderstorm just north of Belfouche right now popping off. Plenty of lightning strikes associated with it. Probably seeing some nice cloud structure with that storm. A few rain showers passing through the Spearfish area. And then over in northeast Wyoming, we have some stronger storms. One just to the northwest of Moorcroft, one just to the west of Gillette, and one right over Gillette. We're also seeing one near Story firing off some thunder and lightning right now. Some decent thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and evening hours today, and those continue in the forecast for the rest of the evening. Rapid City has a chance for some of those isolated thunderstorms until around 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Temperatures drop into the 70s right before sunset and continue that way until around midnight before we drop into the 60s, and then eventually Rapid City does see the 50s tonight. We'll see mid 50s to upper 50s, 59, 58 degrees, somewhere around there is going to be our low temperature. We'll still a little hazy as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Temperatures rising into the upper 60s by around 9 a.m. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds throughout the morning hours, paired with that haze in the sky. Throughout the day tomorrow, we do have the possibility of more haze throughout the day, but we have some more late thunderstorms that are going to be occurring in the afternoon and evening. Not as hot as we were today, only getting up to 80 degrees for a high temperature in Rapid City, but I told you some of those thunderstorms could be severe. A level 1 out of 5 risk for all of northeast Wyoming, all of southeastern Montana, now extending into northwestern South Dakota and the northern Black Hills. This is for tomorrow, so that level 1 out of 5 risk could pose some damaging winds in those thunderstorms, along with some larger hail. As we head throughout the forecast, let's talk about when those storms arrive. Tomorrow morning should be clear of any storms on radar, but by the afternoon, storms start to fire up near Sheridan and Buffalo, Wyoming. This moves into far eastern portions of Wyoming and into Montana by the time we're getting to around 6 p.m. Seeing those cluster of thunderstorms continuing to move and progress forward as we see around sunset. Those enter South Dakota. We talk about those isolated thunderstorms in Rapid City and the Black Hills by around 8 o'clock, and another round of those storms move in by 11 o'clock on Wednesday night. Thursday morning, talking about even more thunderstorms possible in northwestern South Dakota. Possibly some isolated thunderstorms. This model picking up on here Thursday afternoon. A few of these could be strong as well as they move through the area, but by Friday, we're talking about the possibility of fog. This is a very thick cloud deck as we get throughout the morning hours on Friday, but by the afternoon and evening, that fog should be cleared out of here. Talking about the smoke now, we're talking about some light smoke still over the area, but some moderate smoke could filter in by tomorrow morning. But by the afternoon, things start to slightly improve across the majority of KOTA territory. We're on the fringe between no and completely clear of smoke. And that will be the case by Thursday morning. We're starting to see that clear out by the afternoon and evening on Thursday. But tonight we're seeing the haze stick around with some isolated storms. Partly to mostly cloudy skies are expected. 50s and 60s for low temperatures. For Wednesday, temperatures in the 70s and 80s, so we're not as hot. And some late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. We're sunny and hazy throughout the day. The next 3 days around KOTA territory showing thunderstorm chances in Sheridan through Friday. Through Thursday in Spearfish and Deadwood. Gillette, you should dry out for Thursday and Friday as temperatures begin to warm back up. 80s expected by Father's Day weekend. A few thunderstorms possible there on Sunday itself. 89, so flirting with the 90-degree mark. Father's Day looks to be iffy, but I think those storms should hold off to the afternoon and evening.
But the 89 is a treat for Father's Day.
It is, especially for people who like the heat, me not included.
Well, that's me. I don't use the air conditioner in my car, by the way.
You're crazy for that.
Yeah, I may be. All right, thank you. Well, coming up, the Hard Hats have a doubleheader tonight, and our Noah Miller spent the day with Dakota State commit Mason Brooks. All of that's coming up in KOTA Sports.
Good evening. Sports are about having fun. They're about winning too, but mainly having fun. And today I got the chance to throw batting practice to former Stevens baseball player Mason Brooks. Check it out. We are here at McKee Field with Stevens Raiders first baseman Mason Brooks. Mason, thank you for being here today. What got you interested in baseball, and what do you like so much about it?
Well, I started when I was about 6, so I've been playing for over 12 years now. I guess I just love the family aspect of the game, and then just being able to hang out with your boys while playing baseball. Can't go wrong with baseball. So.
Yeah, exactly. And tell me a little bit about the season, how it went. You all had a very good season. Tell me about it.
The season's pretty good. Just fell short in state, but overall, we played our hearts out, played as a team, and yeah, couldn't complain about anything. I love those boys, so.
All right, and this interview is all about Mason. Get to know him right here as you get to watch him hit.
All right, Post 22, good night to get out and watch some ball tonight.
Yeah, it'll be a great night. They have a doubleheader tonight. They're currently playing game 1 right now. Game 2 follows immediately after.
All right, good deal. Thank you very much, Noah. And we'll be right back after the break.
Be sure to tune into KOTA Territory News at 6 on Fox. Why more troops could be sent to California after thousands demonstrate in Los Angeles. Plus, a family on the Rosebud Reservation is voicing their concerns about safety after an emergency declaration.
Our elders get mistreated, our youth get forgotten.
Those stories and more are at 6 on Fox.
Heat today, but now we're talking about storms tonight.
Yeah, and it's still pretty hot outside right now, Jack, but those storms starting to fire up, especially in the Black Hills and in northeast Wyoming. Let's take a look at radar right now, showing those storms across on First Alert Doppler radar. They've been popping up for the past 2 hours now, and let's talk about the one just north of Belfouche. Still probably hearing the rumbling in town there. A few rain showers moving through the Spearfish area, but the real action down in Wyoming. We're seeing plenty of thunderstorms firing up between Gillette and Moorcroft and Sundance, possibly seeing some of that thunderstorm activity over the next couple of hours.
That time of year.
It is.
All right, that'll do it for us. See you tonight at 10.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.